Welcome to the Chant School podcast, where we learn to sing the ancient chants of the Catholic Church. The Chant School podcast is a production of Floriani, a men's vocal ensemble dedicated to serving the church and saving the culture through the beauty of sacred music. I'm Thomas.
I'm Giorgio.
We are members of Floriani and your hosts for the Chant School podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome back to the Chant School podcast. I'm Giorgio, your host, and I'm here with Thomas Quackenbush. And today we are going to sing the chant Te Saeculorum Principem, which is in anticipation for the Feast of Christ the King. Now, this is a very epic hymn, and Thomas is going to go through the lyrics, and hopefully you're not too jarred by it. Well, not jarred, but
yeah, well,
it's
maybe
pretty epic.
Maybe inspired. Yeah, so it's for the Feast of Christ the King, which is only a feast that's only 100 years old. It was instituted in the early part of last century, as Georgia mentioned before we were recording, kind of as a response to
all the different social issues and different social structures that were coming to be during the 19th, 20th century, communism, socialism.
Just a reminder that Jesus Christ is Lord and King of the universe, not just of Christendom and not just of the world, not just of people when they're in their churches, but he's the King and Lord of the universe. So in verses 6 through 8 of this hymn, we get some, again, what might be provocative lyrics for Christians in the modern day, especially in the United States. May the rulers of the world publicly honor and extol thee. May teachers and judges reverence thee. May the laws express thine order, and the arts reflect thy beauty. May kings find renown in their submission and dedication to thee. Bring under thy gentle rule our country and our homes. Glory be to thee, O Jesus, supreme over all secular authorities. And glory be to the Father and the loving Spirit through endless ages. Amen. And then it ends with this last little invocation. His empire shall be multiplied, and there shall be no end of peace. So this hymn was originally sung during Vespers on that feast day, but unfortunately, as Vespers are rarely sung anymore,
Very rarely,
which is very sad, we are going to sing this weekend at our parish. We would encourage you to make this part of your Christ the King celebration, either at your parish or in your home as well. Just a reminder before we begin, check out the description for this podcast for a link to the music for this chant so you can follow along as we learn it. I just want to highlight one of my favorite verses in this is actually verse 2. The first verse is great. Thou Prince of all the ages, thou, O Christ, the King of the nations, we acknowledge thee, the one judge of all hearts and minds. And then verse 2 says, the wicked mob screams out, we don't want Christ as King, while we with shouts of joy hail thee as the world's supreme King. I just love that, the vehemence with which people kind of put out the rejection of Christianity and the corresponding joy we have to bring.
I kind of like All Are Welcome a little more.
Get out of here, Georgia.
Anyhow, these ancient lyrics are just something else for sure. Why don't we just go through all these the English translations, since it's so darn good.
Sure, and you can check these out in the description as well. They will have all these lyrics posted. But from verse 1. Thou, Prince of all ages, thou, O Christ, the King of the nations, we acknowledge thee, the one judge of all hearts and minds. The wicked mob screams out, we don't want Christ as King, while we, with shouts of joy, hail thee as the world's supreme King. O Christ, peace-bringing Prince, subjugate the rebellious minds, and in thy love bring together in one flock those going astray. For this, with arms outstretched, thou hung, bleeding on the cross, and the cruel spear that pierced thee showed man a heart burning with love. For this, thou art hidden on our altars under the form of bread and wine, and pour out on thy children from thy pierced side the grace of salvation. May the rulers of the world publicly honor and extol thee. May teachers and judges reverence thee. May the laws express thine order and the arts reflect thy beauty. May kings find renown in their submission and dedication to thee. Bring under thy gentle rule our country and our homes. Glory be to thee, O Jesus, supreme over all secular authorities, and glory be to the Father and the loving Spirit through endless ages.
Amen. Amen. We'll get started singing the entire hymn, and then we'll break it up into parts. Te Saeculorum Principem, te Christe Regem Gentium, te mentium, te cordium, unum fatemur arbitrum. Celesta turba clamitat, regnare Christum nolumus, te nos ovantes omnium, Regem supremum dicimus. O Christe princeps pacifer, mentes rebelles subice, tuo amore Devios, ovili in unum congrega. Ad hoc cruenta barbore, pendes apertis brachiis, diraque fossum cuspide, corigne flagrans exhibes. Ad hoc in aris abdelis, vinit apisque imagine, fundens salutem filis, transverberato pectore. Te nationum presides, honore tollant publico, collant magistri judices, leges et artes exprimant. Submissa regum fulgeant, tibi dicat insignia, mitique sceptro patriam, domosque subde civium. Iesu tibi sit gloria, qui sceptra mundi temperas, cum Patre Talmo Spiritu, in sempiterna saecula. Amen. Great. So now we'll just go through the Latin for at least 3 verses. So the first verse, Te Saeculorum Principem.
Te Saeculorum Principem.
Te Christe
Te Christe
Regem Gentium.
Regem Gentium.
Te mentium.
Te mentium.
Te cordium.
Te cordium.
Unum fatemur
Unum fatemur
arbitrum.
arbitrum.
Yeah, the number one thing in these these Latin lyrics is you don't want to pronounce the R's, especially in the middle of consonants. So instead of arbitrum, arbitrum. And I did a little rolled R in between them. And then also for fatemur and cordium, where else we got it? Saeculorum. And then we'll go to the second verse. Celesta turba.
Celesta turba
Clamitat.
clamitat.
Regnare Christum.
regnare Christum
nolumus. Te nos ovantes omnium. Regem supremum dicimus. And then verse 3. O Christe princeps pacifer mentes rebelles subice. And then the next one will be a little tricky. Tuo quamore Devios ovilin unum congrega. So let's talk about, you'll notice at the end of tuoque and ovile, there is a italicized letter. What you're doing there, because of that extra syllable and that extra vowel in the middle of you have two vowels next to each other. What you do is you take the vowel of the following word. So instead of saying tuoque, you would basically say tuoqua. So tuoqua more. And then for ovile in unum, that becomes ovilin unum. And then tuoqua more. Right. And you'll see a few more. For example, in verse 4, you'll see cruent ab arbore. So you have those two A's next to each other. We have another one on verse 5, dapis quimagine. And then we have another one at verse 7, dicatin signia, and then cum patret almo. Great, awesome. So hopefully that's not a too tricky for you. But let's take the melody now from the beginning. Te secu Saeculorum Principem. Then we do the full phrase. Te Saeculorum Principem. Te Christe Regem. Gentium. That whole second phrase. Te Christe Regem Gentium. Te Saeculorum Principem. Te Christe Regem Gentium. Then we'll go to the next. Te menti. Te. That's tricky. Te. Cordium. Te cordium. And then that little phrase. Te mentium te cordium. The next phrase. Unum fater. Mora. Arbitrum. And very slowly, that last phrase. Unum fatemur arbitrum. Unum fatemur arbitrum. might have a hard time getting the mur of fa temur. Fa temur.
Fa temur.
I often have trouble teaching children that interval jump there. It's a little tricky. Fa temur.
Fa temur.
Great. Let's sing the whole first verse.
Te Saeculorum Principem, te Christe Regem Gentium, te mentium te cordium, unum fatemur arbitrum.
And we'll do the next two verses for you just to get a, not as slowly as the first, but since hopefully you've got the melody down at this point. But we'll do those in a slow fashion in small phrases. Scelesta turba clamitat.
Scelesta turba clamitat.
Regnare Christum nolumus.
Regnare Christum nolumus.
Te nos ovantes omnium.
Te nos ovantes omnium.
Regem supremum dicimus.
Regem supremum dicimus.
And then verse 3. O Christe princeps pacifer.
O Christe princeps pacifer.
Mentes rebelles subjice.
Mentes rebelles subjice.
Tuo quamore devios.
Tuo quamore devios.
Ovil in unum congrega.
Ovil in unum congrega.
Great. And if you would like to learn the following verses, it's the same melody with different words, but I would just listen to the original chant in the beginning, and you'll definitely get a sense from what we've already gone over.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate you listening, hopefully subscribing, hopefully leaving us a review, and sharing this with your friends, with your choir director, with anyone you think might benefit from listening to our podcast.
If you think it's a really bad podcast, I still recommend sharing it just to show people an example of a podcast you don't like. Anyhow.
Yes. All right. Well, that's it for us. God bless you guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on the Chant School podcast. For more information, check out our show notes for PDFs or links to the chants that we've sung today and any other resources that are relevant. And head over to our website, floriani.org, for more information.
If you guys are Instagram users, you can also look us up at Floriani Sacred Music and listen to some of our tunes that we post on there.
Thanks very much. God bless.
See you later.